everybody, Karyn Bryant here with,
Angela Overkill Hill.
and this is What Had Happened
What
Was.
happened
What
was
had happened was,
very mellow.
yeah, folks, I was going to say, we were wishing this was a celebratory podcast. Angie had a fight on Saturday. It didn't go your way, baby girl. I'm very sorry. And I know it's tough to come and do this today, so I appreciate you doing this, but
Yeah, it is what it is. I went in there with the game plan, and I felt like I got away from it a little bit. And yeah, Tecia just like did her thing. She did what she always does. She throws a lot of volume, no power, but still good game plan against me is volume, and hitting and moving. And it was just like hard to hit her without getting push kicked away. So I think that was the most frustrating part about it. And the positives are that I finally worked my grappling. I finally like got up the courage to shoot, and that's like something I haven't done before. I felt like I chain wrestled a tiny bit. Ended up in mount once, and like defended a couple good takedowns of hers. So, that's the positives to take from it. But yeah, I think this is the first time I felt like I lost a fight in a long time, even though I have lost
yeah.
fights, and it stings. It stings more than when you feel like you did enough. It stings more than I don't know, just getting outclassed. I felt like I could have beat her and I just didn't, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's tough because watching the fight, it definitely, you aren't hurt, right? And so, like you just said, there isn't power there because you don't look like you were in a fight necessarily. So it is the volume that was effective against you. And like you said, with
Mm.
those push kicks, I guess, because before the fight, we were talking about your reach advantage and your height advantage. And it seemed like she was able to use those push kicks to basically like neutralize the reach advantage.
hmm Yeah, it's just like she comes in, she goes blah blah blah, blah, and then as soon as you're ready to counter, she goes push kick, and it's like one of those side push kicks. So
Hmm.
she's really just attacking the hip and pushing
Hmm.
you away. And it's a good way to just score and not get hit. So it's kind of like yeah, she was just able to keep me away from her, keep me from landing big shots on her and pitter patter. And like the most success I had was with the ground stuff, but
Hmm.
I didn't do enough of it, and I should have been more relentless there. Tire her out, keep her from moving all over the place. And there were moments where I could have pushed, and we were both just kind of staring at each other. So I think I let my frustration take over, and it's something that I've been happy about avoiding recently. Like
Hmm.
even in my last two losses, I felt like I avoided letting the frustration get to me. But in this fight, it was very frustrating. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wonder too about that because, with Tisha, obviously you guys have some history. This was a rematch. And so I wonder how much was that playing into your head? I mean, you just admitted to maybe, listening to your inner monologue maybe more than you should have. So how much was that? How much was it, crap, I'm losing and, crap, I'm losing to her again? Like what was going through your head?
I think it's that style is just
Yeah.
really frustrating to me
Okay.
because it's like I have a high damage kind of style. Like that's my goal is to hit and hurt. And when you fight someone whose goal is to touch and move, it can be really frustrating. Like you see it in boxing a lot. When somebody like they touch and then they run off, and then they
Yeah.
come in and then they like check hook, and then you never really get hurt, but at the same time, you're losing on the points. You're losing on the point cards, and it's just I don't know. It's just I guess the Muay Thai fighter in me has always hated that. Like
Hmm.
I've always hated sparring people who fight like that. I've always it's almost like you don't respect it, but at the same time, you have to figure out a way around it
Yeah.
because it's gonna beat you every time, especially if you're not knocking people out. So I think it was more so that style frustrates
Hmm.
me, than the history. Like it
Okay.
after the press conference, like this, I really had no ill feelings towards
Yeah.
Tecia, like just selling the fight. But
Right.
at the same time, like I don't know. It would have been really good to beat her because of where she stands in the
Hmm.
rankings, because she's kind of like that gate holder,
Yeah.
like she's the doorkeeper to the top 10. And I think it was more so the fact that I was letting that opportunity slip through my
Hmm.
fingers than any type of personal beef.
Gotcha.
So
Thank you.
that's really where it stings. And it's humbling, and it just makes me realize that I'm not quite there yet. I have
Yeah.
a few more things to iron out, a few more things to work on, um, skill wise and just
Yeah.
like mentally too. And it's just always going to be hard for me getting past that hump, like
Hmm.
of overthinking a fight that for whatever reason feels like a big fight to me.
Hmm.
And you see that a lot with like other fighters who've just been in there a bunch, who've always been like on right on the verge of doing something really great, but then
Hmm.
they get the big opportunity and they drop it for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And it doesn't help that I have so many losses that I felt should have gone my way,
Hmm.
because it just chips and chips away at that confidence. And it's just hard. But
It
there's
is
worse
hard.
things there's worse things in this world. It's not like I'm like over here thinking I have the worst the worst like life or the worst luck. Like I have a lot to be grateful for,
Hmm.
obviously. But you put so much work into this one moment, and to let it slip through your fingers is just like a real hard pill to swallow.
Well, it's hard on a lot of levels too, because a lot of us have failures or things that don't go our way and they're not out in public, and it's like nobody saw us do this thing that didn't go our way. So the bravery and the fact that you even do that and put yourself out there and take the risk of saying it's BFS and saying it's this and hyping the fight and big upping the moment and knowing that you are putting some pressure on yourself. I mean, it is a lot. It is a lot, and it's what you do as a professional athlete. It's what you do for our entertainment. So thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, it's incredibly hard. I don't think you should, and I know it's easier to say than to do, but I hope you don't, get hung up on the record and stuff like that, or because we all know that in the fight game, you guys are so much more than what your record tells. It doesn't tell the story. It doesn't tell the split decisions. It doesn't tell the bad judging in whatever state. It doesn't tell the whole story, and so I feel like your fans know the real story, and I know that the number is going to be the number or whatever, but like I asked you before this fight. That's why I asked you, like, what's a success for you? Because I wanted you to know, like, getting better and things. I like that you're able to find some victories in this, because that is what's going to propel you to move forward. And so I guess I would just say, yeah, like, it's the easy things that we say is keep your head up, keep your chin up, keep moving forward. And it's easy to say it. I know it's so freaking hard. Like, it's going to be friggin' hard to go back to the gym and be like, God damn it, I got to try again. And like, this part, like it's hard. It, like, I mean, you are allowed to wallow if you want. You're allowed to like drink everything in the house if you want, smoke everything in the house if you want, like, just do whatever you need to do to sort of get over that and reset. I mean, that's why you are still doing this for as long as you have, because you do keep going. Like, it's easy to quit. That part's easy. So keeping your momentum and keeping your motivation is what you've already shown that you can do. So I would just say keep going.
Thanks. I will.
Yeah, but it's hard because like I know if I could equate it to my like crappy, I used to play a lot of sports, but right now I just play tennis and stuff. But like when I come home, I'd come home from a match and I'd go, bitch freaking lobbed me the whole game. And then it's like,
Mm.
well, and I lost. So it's like, well, yeah, I lost because she freaking lobbed me the whole game. I didn't show up to play freaking lob. I showed up to play tennis. Well, she beat me though, right? It's like, it's kind of the thing with the push kick. You're like, but it's a freaking push kick. And you're like, yeah, but it worked. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that frustration of like, but I came to fight. Like, I get it. I feel like I understand what you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't know what lobbing is, but I can guess. I
It's
can
when
use
they
the
just hit it
context
like
clues.
really high and long and like over you and like all the way down to the baseline. So like literally like you run up and you're playing aggressive and they just hit everything back slow and all the way to the base. Like so you're not even playing tennis. You're just chasing this stupid freaking lob all day long and it sucks.
Okay, so they turn you into a puppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that's annoying for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah, it's it's there's always learning experiences and everything. I think the toughest part with my career is that um, all my learning experiences have happened in the UFC.
hmm
Like all
Yeah.
my losses are in the UFC, and it's a lot. It is a lot of pressure, and it's something that I didn't consider as a young athlete. So I always tell people who are starting off, if you want to be in UFC and Bellator, just like, at the highest level, make sure you get your experience first because you're gonna need that. Like even as a pro, like in the local scenes or whatever, like that's useful experience where you don't have people telling you like that you suck right off the bat. And I think that was probably the hardest part is like I came into the UFC undefeated 1-0 fighter with
hmm
like 16, wins in Muay Thai, 16 and all. And I'm like, I'm the fucking greatest. And as soon as I lost, like if it wasn't on the big screen, then I would have only people who were close to me telling me how to fix it and how to
hmm
go forward and that, I was still the greatest. But having that first loss on tough, like having that next loss to Tecia, having that next loss to Rose on in the UFC. Um, just people have been telling me I suck since I got into the UFC, and it's just
Yeah.
like even before I fought on tough, they were like, "Oh, black girl's gonna lose," or I hope the black girl loses, and they were right. I lost, and it's just like it's just it adds to the just the pain of it. It just
Yeah.
adds to that like frustration. Like, oh man, like people hate me, and then I lose, and then they get what they wanted. All these people who hate me get what they wanted. So it's just yeah, not feeling sorry for myself, just saying, hey, like if you're coming into the UFC, make sure you're ready because this shit's rough. It's like it can take away your confidence you it before it should be taken away. You get
Yeah.
like all these eyes on you, and sometimes it's better to just uh you know build yourself away from the public eye and then just explode onto the
Mhm.
scene. So yeah, I don't know where I was
It's
going with that. I'm
no,
just like
well,
in the mood and I'm just like venting and
no,
stuff.
but well, I mean, some of the stuff you touched on, that only I know what you're talking about. Like, I'm a singular entity in terms of the UFC as well, and my position. And I very much know what it's like to know that there are people 100% rooting for you to fail and who take joy when you fail. Yeah, I know what that feels like, and it's a terrible feeling. I will say, I remember, the Ultimate Fighter. I remember when you guys all came on because we were doing Tough Talk, and I know how that season was, was so interesting too. Just not even just like the drama between the girls that they tried to build up in the house. But yeah, there was just a lot with that. So I know that coming into the UFC under that, in that situation was a lot for all of you women to deal with. But yeah, the idea that people are looking for you to fail, I know what that's like. And I will say, I for me personally, I'm glad I had other jobs before I came to the UFC, because yeah, you do have to like steel yourself from the bullshit, and you will hear a lot of stuff, and our fans have a certain way of finding that thing and getting to you. And as much as I've done a bunch of other cool stuff, there are still sometimes people will say stuff to me that like just really does bother me. All of us girls who work for the UFC are compared to each other, and guess what? I always lose in that comparison. And I
Mm.
hear about it. People tell me I'm not hot. People tell me I'm, whatever. Like it is what it is. So I would just say that yes, it's 100% difficult to deal with all of this bullcrap on the biggest stage. But baby girl, you are in the UFC and you are in the best one, and that's the whole thing. Like that's why when you do make it big and when you hit it big, it's going to be awesome too. So you're already doing the analyst work too. Like that's the thing, is a lot of these other girls that maybe or fans or whoever are looking for you to fail, like you just keep succeeding. That's the whole thing. Like, so yeah, I took a hit, I lost a fight. Guess where I lost it? In the UFC. Guess where I lost it? On the pay-per-view, bitches. Like, I
Mm.
mean, think about it. So like you said, things could be a lot worse. I do remember Joe Benavidez, that time when he lost the title the first time, and he was so heartbroken, and he said though, like, yeah, he woke up the next day, he's like, the sun still went up, my friends still loved me. And I know that's such a simple thing to say and hear, but it's true. I mean, and luckily for you that night, as much as I know it hurt, Jessica won her fight. You had Adam there with you. Like there was
Yeah.
still like so much love. Dom was working the mic. Like I know that still had to feel good for you guys to at least be there together, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like it was such a boost seeing Jessica get that armbar like backstage. I we went together to the arena, and I was just sitting there like watching her warm up and then watched her walk out, and it's just like kind of this eerie feeling because I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's gonna be me in like a couple hours. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
And seeing her go out there and just smash Carolina. She was an underdog in that fight too,
Yeah.
and just to like go out, just like do her thing against her. It was so amazing to watch. And
Yeah.
we've been working on a lot of the same stuff. So it's good to see her come out on top with that and just nail a technique that she's just been grinding with day after day. And it gives me hope that like, hey, like maybe it didn't come out in this fight, but it's gonna come out in the future. I'm gonna nail that same armbar on somebody. I'm gonna like submit someone, or I'm at least get to like a good position, get to mount like she did, and just be able to wail on someone. Like like everything she did was so perfect. Like even getting the push kick caught in in Carolina following her down. I'm like, good job, Jess. Good job inviting her into your
Yeah.
guard and just sweeping her right away. Like it was a perfect fight, and like she looks like she didn't get in the fight either. She has like
Yeah.
one little lump on her head from like being in Carolina's guard, but
Yeah.
it was just like such a great moment. And to know what Jess has gone through too, like Jess is just gone through hell trying to get back into the UFC and trying to get back some momentum. And
Hmm.
now she finally has it. Now she's streaking. Now, and this, I know a lot of people were talking shit about her last win, but
Yeah.
this, there's no shit to talk. Like it was so cut and clear. You could replay the fight a bunch of
Yeah.
times and the same thing will happen. So good job, just it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It
It was
was beautiful.
beautiful. And
It,
the loss would hurt so much more if Jess didn't do that to her, to that girl.
yeah.
It like not only is that my girl, but it also gives me
Right.
hope for the future, for my
For
future
sure.
as well. Like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm gonna be able to do this to someone eventually. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, you will 100% be able to do that to somebody. And yeah, I was jumping rope and I had the fights on and I was like, yes, yes. I was so happy for her. Because yeah, nothing against Carolina, but really it's just like knowing everything that Jess has gone through in the time, like you said, coming back. And I know how hard she struggled and I know it was hard to like keep it together and stay afloat. And so the fact that she also got a performance bonus, I did an after the facts video, folks,
Yeah.
and Jessica came home with an extra 50 G's. So congratulations to her. Yeah, I was really, really happy for her. And obviously I was hoping that that meant that the momentum was going to be going for you guys. But I know it. I know, like you just said, it does. It does help some. So yeah. So how soon will you go back? To the gym. Like obviously, you're not hurt, so you could go back right away. But you train so much. You fight and like you go through camp so often that I also do feel that like it wouldn't be a bad thing for you to just take a couple weeks off, maybe go see mom. Like take a break, right?
Yeah. It's hard for me to take a break, especially after a loss. Like
Yeah.
I can decompress after a win, pretty easily because I'm just like do do do. I'm awesome. But after a loss, my brain just keeps going back to where I fucked up. So like training is kind of the easiest way to deal with that for me. Training and then finding some way to just disconnect a little bit, like you know the usual suspects,
Yes.
but also like video games.
Yeah.
Like they help me a lot, so I'll probably try to find a new game I could jump into when I'm not training. And
Uh-huh.
I have little stuff in the works. I'm probably gonna do. I'm not totally confirmed, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing Cage Warriors again. So
Nice.
I'll be commentating that card, so I can like
Cool.
get my studying on early for that.
Yeah.
And then I know a lot of people know about my grandfather's abduction, so hopefully
Hmm.
there's like something in the works with that going on in the future, in the near
Cool.
future. And Mama Duke, she's gonna come through for her birthday to San Diego,
Nice.
and I'm gonna go home and visit her too, and go and clear out my old room and get all my crap out of there. So like I have stuff going on that could keep me distracted, keep me from like overtraining or
Yeah.
whatnot. But I really feel like I got some good momentum going
Hmm.
with my grappling, and
Yeah.
I think I think diving into that is going to be the easiest way to get over this and just keep moving forward and keep progressing. And yeah, just it's I can do it in a way where it's low impact and
Hmm.
I'm not like straining my body. And like
Right.
I felt pretty good. I was able to take a nice long break before I started the Tecia camp.
Yeah.
So after the Rebus one fell through, I was able to take a few weeks off for that one. Hey, hush. So yeah, the break happened at some point this year, but you know me, I gotta stay busy, otherwise I
Yes.
go crazy.
I hear you. I hear you on that. Well, your hair looked great during the fight and still looks
Hey,
great. um, did you, I am curious while you were there though, like, did you process the main event at all? Like, did you watch Cyril and Derek? Were
I
you,
actually I actually haven't been able to catch the knockout. I was
uh,
watching it a little bit, and then my mom walked in the room. My
yeah.
mom came to the fights and she gave me a big old hug. So I was distracted, and then all of a sudden, boosh! Oh, what happened? So
Yeah.
so could you give me a play by play?
Well, it was kind of a lot of what a lot of people thought it was going to be because after the fight, Cyril didn't even really look tired. Like I tweeted out, I was like, the dude is not even breathing heavy yet. I mean, he's such an incredible athlete. And it was a lot of what you thought it was going to be that movement, that elusiveness. And, it was like Derek was waiting, I don't want to say waiting for that because he was trying to do a lot of stuff. It's just that Cyril is just so much more active and able to be so much more active and able to just not be there when you go to hit him. You know what I mean? And so really is what it comes down to. And you could see that Derek was, trying to land that big punch wasn't able to. Once he did get in trouble, Ciryl was able to kind of, pounce on him and get the finish there. And, Derrick definitely had the chance, from the ref, like, they're not going to stop this too soon. And he just kind of got in the position where you could tell that not only was he hurt, like, I just didn't know what he was going to do to come back from it. Like, where, he just kind of got in a position with Ciryl just putting so much on him. And then even if he were, I hate to say it, it's just that I didn't feel like it got into a position where Ciryl was going to be in any trouble there, because once he had gotten Derrick hurt too, even though we know Derrick can lose the whole fight like he did with Volkov or whatever and come back and win it in the last second, it just seemed like Ciryl is smart enough to avoid the danger, and that it got to a point where there wasn't going to be a comeback. There wasn't going to be a threat of Derrick being able to follow up and change the tide. So, it's hard because Derrick is so likable. And so, I mean, we all love him.
Yeah.
But when you look at Ciryl and you see, like, well, he's a complete martial artist, and it makes sense that he should have won in a way. Like, it makes sense. And, the storyline of him fighting Francis now is very interesting. There's a lot to it. Obviously, that if it were Derrick and Derrick Francis would have been the rematch of that fight. I worked that first one that time. And that is one thing that, the commentators were saying, maybe Derrick was nervous about, the power, maybe, who knows really what was happening. It's just that Ciryl won. He's really good, and he won again.
Yeah, I think I did see something where Derrick was talking about the nerves just being a little worse this camp, and this was the hardest camp he worked. And sometimes that's why the struggle of having a fight camp happens with me too. It's just you start to think about how much you've sacrificed and how much you've worked, and you start to think, what if, or at least for me, like, sometimes that could lead to me thinking, what if all of this was, in vain? And it's a little easier to go into a fight a little lighter if, like, maybe you just found out about it 10 days ago and you're like, oh, okay, well, let's go. Let's see.
So what? Right.
And it would be amazing to figure out a way to bring that lightness into every fight, no matter how hard you work for it, no matter what the stakes are, no matter if it's in your hometown or not. And I know, like, Derrick put a lot of pressure on himself because it was in his hometown. And it may not affect you in the moment of the fight, but just the exhaustion of getting to that moment can be present. It can just, like, I don't know, make you a little flat. And I didn't really get to watch the fight, so I don't. Yeah. I'm just talking.
No, but that makes a lot of sense.
But that could be a thing that maybe made it a little less competitive than it would have been if he was, like, maybe fighting in Vegas, or fighting a contender who was Ciryl Gane, but it wasn't for the interim title.
Right.
It was a really. There was a lot of pressure in, with Nunes getting pulled from the card. Like, he is, like, the header, like, it's all on him to sell the fight card as, like, hey, this is an amazing fight card. So it's a lot of pressure. And I think it's really impressive that Ciryl Gane was able to show up and do the same thing he always does, just be patient and methodical and just wait for the perfect moments to hit. That patience that he has, like, that's a real dangerous thing.
Yeah,
like, people can boo him, like, like, people can get mad that they're watching a heavyweight fight and no one's been knocked out yet. Like, just the questions that they were asking Ciryl about going to decision in his last couple of fights. It's just like, well, yeah, but this guy is dangerous the entire time.
Right.
Like, he's going to decision, but he's a heavyweight with very precise striking.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that's probably the thing that impresses me most about him, is that he doesn't allow that pressure giving the crowd a show,
Hmm.
or the pressure of like someone coming at him to like throw him off of his game. He
Yeah.
sticks to the game plan. He's always like precise. He's always it's always pretty, the
Yeah.
his striking that he puts out there. And he never gets like he never overcommits or puts himself in a bad position. So I
Hmm.
think he just fights very wise, I guess. Like he fights like he's been in there like three times as long as he actually has. And that's gonna be a hell of a fight, him versus Ngannou.
Yeah, it is. And, he has so much Muay Thai experience. And yeah, now I guess he's what, 9-0, 10-0 for fighting. And, I did speak to him before his last fight, and he knows, knockouts are crowd pleasers, and he does look for them. But like you just said, he's been in there with incredibly dangerous people too. So guess what? Jarzinho, he knocked out Overeem at the last second, right? So you don't want to mess with him. We know what Derrick can do. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that, as much as people may want to critique Ciryl, they're not the ones in there with these guys with sledgehammer hands. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny, like I said, I've spoken with him some, and we did a no wrong answers as well, where you kind of learn more about him. And he has a really nice personality. He's a lovely guy. I think, just the more people get to know him, the better it will be for him. The more, because I can't speak any French, but he, his English is good, but it's definitely getting better too. And yeah, the fight with Francis is going to be so interesting because of Fernand Lopez, the coach that, really found both of them and kind of created these two incredible fighters. So that storyline is going to be very interesting. But, to your point about the pressure, that's what Michael Chiesa said happened to him as well. And he
Mm.
said he made the moment too big. He let the pressure get to him. We all know how good Vicente is anyway. But I work
Mm.
with Michael a lot over at UFC stuff, ESPN, and I was stressing out because you two were fighting back to back. I was like, oh great,
Yeah.
like great. I'm not stressed at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't suck. Not to make it about me, but hello. But
Poor
yeah. So I
Pierre.
know I know how much Michael has been training. I know that usually when we're working in Vegas on a fight weekend, like on Thursday, like we hang out. People get together, have beers or whatever. At least just like even when you're sitting around, like we at least socialize some. You see each other. Michael has been so focused when he's there. He's been going over to the PI. If he's not at the PI, he's getting this treatment. If he's not at this treatment, he's watching tape. If he's not doing this, like he's obsessive about the fight game anyway. Just
Mm.
watching fights. But then when it's his own thing and everybody's talking, and oh, maybe you almost got a title fight, and he was kind of in the conversation, and was that real, like all this stuff. And yeah, it got to him, and Michael fully admits that, like, he let it get to him, and the moment got too
Mhm.
big in his head. And so hopefully from now he'll move on from that, and regroup and stuff. But it sucks because I know how hard you guys train and prepare, and it's that's like when you're like, can we make it the best of three? Like that's when it sucks, when you're like,
Yeah,
it's
right.
just like you got to show up, and that's it. Like there's no
Yeah.
do-overs. And I know it is really, really hard, and I don't know how you do that, how you get out of your own head. I don't know.
Yeah. It's I think a lot of people are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's why everyone has mental coaches
Hmm.
nowadays. Not everyone, but a lot of people
Right.
have mental coaches. A lot of people just pay people to talk them up. They just bring in people to the fight week that'll just talk them up the whole time. It's like
Yeah.
mental fluffers,
Right,
and
right.
right.
Well,
It,
DC, yeah, DC mentioned that there was that clip that they put out where they showed the fight meeting, and they showed, Derek talking about how nervous he was. And that was one thing that DC said was, don't ever be alone during fight week. DC is, and it's funny when he said that, and it was, like I've known DC a long time, and there's certain things I kind of knew about him anyway. And then when he vocalized that, I was like, oh, that's why DC always is like this. Cause I have always known DC likes to have a crowd around him. He likes to socialize. He likes having people around him. But then he was telling Francis, he said, yeah, during fight week, don't be alone, because that's when you'll be in your head. That's when you'll talk to yourself. That's when he's like, make your team entertain you, play video games, do something. Just try to avoid spending too much time by yourself so that you can avoid getting in your own head, which I thought was good advice.
hmm For sure, for sure.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I'll tell you what, Angie, the good thing is the fight game rolls on. And so, like you said, you'll have
Yeah.
another chance. You'll have Cage Warriors to do. You'll stay busy. I hopefully they get you at the desk with me. I have, we don't have fights this weekend, so I'm working like the last couple weekends of August. Um, but I know that
Hey,
yeah, I know that is
yeah.
fun for you as well. And I know, like my munchkin is starting school this week. I know for a lot of people, like things are getting back to, kind of semi back to normal or whatever. So hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your hot girl summer.
Yeah, there's still a little more time. Still a little more time. I feel like it just hit in San Diego. Summertime just hit. So
Yeah.
I can finally go hit the beach and take some photos for the Instagram so people don't forget about me.
That's
The
that's right. I know you got to do
little
those,
photo shoot.
You got to. You got to. All right. Well, I know, you didn't really feel like talking, Ange, so we'll keep it short. But thank you. And I know, everybody likes to hear from you. You got to be gracious in victory and in defeat. And I know it's hard, but the cool thing is like you always come back better than the time before. So
For sure, for sure. Just looking forward to the upswing
yeah,
of this annoying little patch right now. But I know it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be back in the gym tomorrow, just trying
awesome.
to
Nice,
trying to
nice.
work it out in my head. But yeah,
Cool,
should
cool.
be
All right, folks. Well, this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. It's also on Angie's IGTV and on my YouTube channel. There's some funky stuff going on with the Vanity channel. So I would just say go to KarynBryant.com. That'll make it easier. It's Karyn, Bryant as in Kobe, no relation, but may he rest in peace. Angie, where can they find you on social media?
you can find me at Angie Overkill on Instagram and Twitter, at Overkill Hill on TikTok. Like, what's that thing that those kids use again on TikTok? And yeah, that's it.
Nice. And I have a new interview out with my buddy Gegard Mousasi. He is defending his title this Friday on Showtime. He's the middleweight champ over at
Oh,
Bellator. One of my best friends in the whole game. Just love that dude. So you got to go check that interview out. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks for joining us here. And tell your friends about our show. We are growing. Hey, Angie, I'm working on I got a like a graphic thing maybe coming for us. So we're
wow.
growing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
was working on that, working on that. But yeah,
All
folks,
right.
stay with us. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.